This is the video review of the Bandai Reissue DX VF-19 Fire Valkyrie Excalibur figure. This comes from the anime Macross 7, and as far as I know, this is the first figure that is a fully transformable VF-19. And perfect transformation to boot, so this thing is actually quite nice. However, it is not screen accurate. The back end is a bit too thick. The shoulders go up too high. The nose isn't long enough. The wing roots come up too far. And the canards are... the canards are laughably small. But otherwise, as kind of its own thing, like its own interpretation of the VF-19 design, this is actually a very nice jet. There's a very sleek design to it. The thickness doesn't look bad. It looks like, oh man, this thing has a lot of power to it. It doesn't have kibble as everything it needs, everything it is designed to have. And that's actually one of the nice things about the Macross line, about the Macross series, is that since these are not meant to be robots in disguise, and the jet modes are designed along with the Batroid modes, and they're designed well, you get interesting transformations that don't end up having a lot of excess crap, like this is a very sleek jet mode. Now, this thing does have landing gear. These two plastic landing gear here that don't roll, and this thing right here that's die cast. Yeah, this thing has a bit of die cast. I'll get into that in a minute. This thing, if you know anything about the VF-19, this is the thing that the nose rests on in Batroid mode to form the chest. This doubles as a landing gear, and I think that's pretty clever, and especially for an early design of the VF-19, I think it's clever, but it is kind of ugly, so if that absolutely disgusts you, don't get this figure, but I thought it was clever enough that I could deal with it not looking quite right. As far as die-cast, this is the only example of painted die-cast, which is good because painted die-cast tends to have the paint scratch very, very easily. The rest of it is all internal or used in joints like this right here. It's actually not a ball joint, it's just a hinge joint with a ball-like thing that has flat sides where a spring presses on it to get it to stay in the position it needs to stay in. So it's actually a pretty neat design, and the way the wing rotates out is it rotates on the hinge with a screw on top. And then the thigh/gearwalk knee joints here have a die-cast ratcheting mechanism inside of it, and same with the actual knees. I think there's actually a bit more die-cast in this, but it's all internal. So if you've seen my VF-17 review, which that figure comes from the same line as this, came in the same packaging as this, and was reissued at the same time as this, these are they're actually quite different from each other because that had no die-cast. So I won't show Gearwalk mode because it's abominable in this mode, and Gearwalk I only really like on the VF1, so I will show the transformation to Batroid mode. It's quite interesting. It's basically the same as on all the other VF-19s I reviewed, the other two, but it's interesting to see the first real attempt at it because it actually works kind of well. Now first, rotate up these landing gear, and this landing gear right here needs to be out for transformation. Take the nose, bend it down, and if you'll see this little notch right here, the wheels from the sort of esophagus piece actually peg into that, and it's a very solid connection too. And then next thing you'll do is you'll pop the wings out, rotate them out, pop the wings out, rotate them out, fold up the tails, make sure these are all the way forward, and swing the legs down to get them out of the way. And you have this mess with a bunch of the jet folded up over itself. You will take what will become the chest here, and you will pull it up. And actually pegs in pretty well there too. pegs inside of here that it sits on. And, oh, one thing I want to mention is that this plate right here, this actually flips up and rotates out of the way so the head can go into place. And this is the only VF-19 that I know of that's perfect transformation that has a plate that goes there. Because normally, on the more recent figures, it's something that you pull up and put in the box when you're going to gearwalk mode. And then you split the arms. This one doesn't plug into the shield, it plugs into the arm. You split them, and then just sort of leave them out to the side for now. Press up under here, and get this thing pulled up, and then pull the head up along with it. Rotate them both around, like that. And then you can start swinging this whole thing up. Now if you notice, this is on the slider joint with a little tab at the bottom, so if you press all the way up, it clicks into position. But you need to make sure you do it on both sides, because if you press up on one side, it'll only be up on that one side. And then start swinging this over the nose section, and then fold it down. And there are little notches right here that the chest clips into. And that ends up with a very solid chest locking mechanism. I was very surprised by this because I thought that it was just going to be super loose, and it was actually one of the things I was worried about when I purchased this thing, because I knew I wanted to get this thing because I really love the VF-19 design, and I wanted to see kind of where it came from, the first attempt at it. I wanted to own it. Even if I ended up not liking it, which I do like this, I wanted to own it just because I like the VF-19 that much. It's sort of a historical piece for me. Anyway, continue folding the arms down, and rotate back the antenna. And this is the VF-19 Fire Valkyrie in Batroid mode. Now, it does not look terribly screen accurate. The shoulders don't angle up. The legs don't look that good, especially in this area right here, because it's all sort of one big block for sturdiness sake. But as its own thing, except for the tiny head, I do wish the head were bigger. And actually on the Laser Valkyrie, the blue repaint of this, it is quite a bit bigger, but that wasn't reissued, and it cost about $50 more than this thing did. And it's kind of rare on eBay. This, as its own thing, is very nice. So, I won't dock points for it not being show accurate. It's design accurate. Which is all I really want. Because the transformation is a big part of why I like the VF-19 design. As far as posability in this mode, it has arms that ratchet forward and back. They go out and bend at the elbow about 65, 70 degrees. The head can turn left and right, and because of the hinge it's on to rotate up, it can also look up and down, well, down and up. Although the piece back here will flip up if you mess with it too much. The legs, the upper body is basically fully articulated. You even have a bit of this if you need it for a pose. But the lower body, not so much. It's more in line with the Chunky Monkey Takatoku Valkyrie, where it has forward at what is the gearwalk knee joint, but no back on the gearwalk knee joint. This is as far back as it goes. The knee goes back over 90 degrees, unless the knee here, the thigh here is straight, so there's a bit of limitation here. And it can go forward quite a bit, and that's for gearwalk. The toes can move up and down, and so can the heel, and then the actual feet are ratcheted. So the legs don't have quite enough articulation, less than the this figure actually has less articulation than the original Takatoku Valkyrie, and that's kind of a shame, but given that this is a far more interesting and intricate design than the Toka Valkyrie, I don't mind that. So, as its own thing, it's great. As the show-accurate figure, it's not that great. It's sort of evocative, and the uniboob nose is a bit too long. Overall, I like it quite a bit. It's a very nice figure, and do I recommend getting it? It depends. If you're a Macross fan, it's nice seeing what some of the original figures were like, some of the first figures, especially of some of the more iconic mecha like the VF-19. But just as a person who likes Transformers things, I wouldn't quite recommend this because it's somewhat limited, somewhat fiddly in the legs, especially the feet, and it doesn't look super great, especially compared to more modern things. But as a Macross fan, I do quite like this. Now, before I end this, I do want to talk about one problem this thing has. Now, I don't know if the original release had this problem, or if this is a problem with the reissue. But essentially, if you look at these covers here for the intakes, behind them there is a screw hole that keeps the upper thigh here connected to the wing roots. That screw was not in there, so the only place that the thigh parts were connected in was through the middle of the abdomen. And that made it so that they kind of wobbled a bit, and that made it so that the wings couldn't quite peg in to the jet mode the way they needed to, because instead of clipping in and having the clip work, the way the legs force this down a little bit, like the same way that this moves, and that made it so that it couldn't properly clip into the chest area. So to fix this, there's a screw here, here, and here that you need to take out, and that will let you take off the front piece here. And then I recommend taking the screw from right here on each leg, because this screw here doesn't actually add to the stability for this joint here, because it has a screw up here and here. So there's really no point to it, and it's the perfect size to fill in the screw holes behind those covers. The one thing to warn about those is that since nothing is ever screwed into those before, it will be very tight. Just keep turning until you get it so that these stay flush against the wing roots. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching.